to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies, Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
And the three of us are back together, the three amigos, for the first time in a couple weeks. Good to see both of your lovely faces. And as I'm sure both of y'all were following along over the weekend, there will be a new girl in Duval.
Yes. You know, it's funny, Lauren, I actually set the over-under at 10 minutes that you would bring that up in today's program as I was on my morning walk this morning with Kevin. So I'm glad,
off the rip.
I am glad I took the under.
Yes, of course I was going to bring that up because I'm very excited for them. And I think it's a cool new chapter for the both of them. We know that they have friends that have either babies or are pregnant right now. And so I think it's, like I said, I think it's a great thing. And certainly people are going to try and figure out the names ahead of time. If people suggested Lombardi Lawrence. Taylor, you suggested your own name. Just Taylor. It works for
I was like,
boy
it goes
or girl.
both ways, so it didn't matter if it was a girl or a boy. I will say I wanted to be at that party strictly for that charcuterie setup thing.
I thought you were going to say for the ice cream.
I knew you would go
I'm
ice cream.
not an ice cream girl like that.
We're both more of the savory rather
It was
than
like
sweet.
a build your own charcuterie board. I was like, that is a dream for me.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm really glad you guys are having a baby over there, and I'm just at the charcuterie.
and pool party after. Like, that's so much fun.
I'm a big fan of the more charcuterie, the better. I actually want to shout out our friends at UNF for the Aussies, for the Athletic Awards banquet. What they've done since COVID is they do a jar of charcuterie. So you avoid everyone's touching the
Right.
same platter. It's all in a jar. You have your charcuterie to go. And I think more people should do that, quite frankly.
Well, that's what if you
You need
saw
a
it, they had
gallon-sized jar.
yeah, yes, I need a big jar. But it was like you build your own, so everyone had their own individual little charcuterie boards, and then you just put everything you want on it. And I was like, I would need 5 of the charcuterie boards, but such a cute idea.
It is a cute idea. And certainly Trevor and Marissa, especially because of Marissa's line of work, she works for an event company. They're always going to do everything to the nines, which is a lot of fun. And I was trying to figure this out because I just like to know, for planning purposes. So I'm going to guess that Marissa's now 20 weeks pregnant. That's my guess. I have absolutely no intel on this, but usually gender reveals are around the 20-week mark, which would mean that the baby is due around the Jags bye week. Talk about perfect timing.
Oh, so you think November?
I think very late November, right
Cue
around the
the
bye week.
X-Files music, RJ, because there's also a lot of folks out there, some super sleuths on the internet,
Okay.
that they believe the reason that Marvin Jones commented on Instagram something about see you in October or call me in October is because he was referencing being the babysitter in October.
Interesting. So certainly that could be the case. I would have expected, and again, all this is from Instagram. We're not stalking these people by any means, but I would have expected her to be showing a little bit more if she's even farther along. But certainly that's Baby Watch 2024 will commence when the season begins. All right, let's switch topics to the most annoying fan bases in sports. And I feel like this all depends on the teams that you root for.
Yeah.
You're naturally then, the rivals are always going to be the
Annoy
most
you.
annoying. Yes, they're clearly going to be the most annoying. I will say, for me, as a Gator fan, it's not Georgia, and it's actually not Florida State
Oh.
that I think is the most annoying fan base in all of college football. For me, it's the Tennessee Volunteers.
Wow.
But it's because they haven't won anything in so long. The last national championship was 1998. And they are just, the Rocky Top drives me absolutely bonkers. And they just are those people that I've seen a Tennessee fan spit on someone before. And so that also, once you see that cements in your mind.
I want to go back to what Lauren said, Taylor. Tennessee hasn't won anything since 1998. Are there people who could say that there's another team who hasn't won anything since 2008? Huh? Huh?
That was 10 years more recent than 1990. That was in the 90s. Still.
It's interesting too because in the realm of picking that as your most, I would not have guessed that. I could see it
Right.
as you start saying your whys. But it's funny too because I feel like a lot of times when you don't like a certain fan base, like you said, it's usually a divisional thing or a conference thing, whatever it may be. But it's usually also because they beat you a lot, and then that becomes annoying. But Tennessee had not.
No, Tennessee
for a
almost
long
never
time.
beats Florida. And as far as that, to your point, Mia, as far as the winning, Florida at least has been in SEC championships in the last 15 years. Tennessee, it's been a long time.
So you put Tennessee in the Nebraska category. This revisionist history of, we're still relevant, and in reality, you have not won anything since the 90s.
Right, but to me, Huskers fans aren't obnoxious, and I think Tennessee fans are, all the ones that I've come across. But I don't know that, again, another Florida fan might have a completely different perspective. Which is why we invite you to get in on the conversation.
Exactly. 641-1010, the number to reach us at the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. This is very much an interactive show, folks. You also can comment on our YouTube live stream at the MyBookie Digital Studio. The most annoying fan base. We're saying all of sports, though.
Yeah.
Are we hyper focusing on college football?
No, we can take it to anything.
Anyway.
Okay.
Any sport
We're
is
going
totally
anywhere.
fine.
All right. So send in your submissions. I see Robert already commented. He said the Steelers. Also still hates the Titans.
The terrible towels can be obnoxious.
I think that unless you're a Steelers fan, most other fan bases don't like the Steelers fan base. Like, it's not even just, Jacksonville has their history with Pittsburgh. I think that obviously if you're in the AFC North, you're going to have your problem with Pittsburgh. But even I've ran into other people who have no rivalry whatsoever, affiliation with the Steelers, and they still kind of have that mindset. I think the terrible towel probably is a big thing of it. I also think certain teams, like I said, if they win a lot, it starts to become annoying. So you automatically kind of put them in that category because they're fans that are pretty cocky because they've won a ton.
Yeah, the Patriots would fall in that category as far as once, they had Tom Brady and certainly Bill Belichick for many years winning. And I would say Jaguars fans probably would have not ever over the Titans, but Patriots might have been second. Mm-hmm. Close, certainly, with the Steelers. But now that they're an irrelevant franchise almost at this point, I wonder if that shifts too.
Well, and it's interesting too, because when I went up for the AFC Championship game, and the Patriots fans were fantastic. So I have such a mindset of they were great. I mean, even after the loss and we're walking back to our cars after, kind of through the parking lots of all the tailgates, they're all stopping us oh, come have a drink. So sorry, we thought you guys had it here. Now, if they would have lost, it might have looked a little different walking to the car. Right. But I still had such a good experience that I don't necessarily see that fan base as that. I think the Boston part of it gets a lot of it because Boston fans are kind of aggressive when it comes to certain things. They also have won a lot, between all of their sports. We've seen a lot of championships, especially in my lifetime, from Boston in general. So I think that maybe you scoop them in there, but I always talk about my personal experiences with fan bases, which everyone will have different experiences too. There's bad fans in every fan base. It's just kind of what it is. So if you've had a particular experience with someone, of course, that's going to resonate with you for a while.
The Boston part is interesting, Taylor, because to take our listening audience, our Heeligans behind the curtain, the genesis of this conversation began with Lauren found a ranking on yardbarker.com of the top 25 most annoying fan bases.
Which this guy must think I'm really annoying.
because
Chris Mueller never wants to meet Taylor Dahl. I can't.
What's interesting, though, to me, yes, he does have the Bears third behind Duke basketball and the New York Yankees. What I think is interesting is the Patriots come in at number 5, Taylor Dahl. Mm-hmm. You have to scroll all the way down to, my goodness, number 14 to get to the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
And I'm curious because to your point of do we hate certain sports markets, is that fair to say because the Red Sox have consistently won, because right now, at least according to, what I've seen over the last few weeks, including last night on Sunday Night Baseball, because they're this young outfit that Alex Cora has been able to coach up, there are a lot of young players that have been counted out before. Rafael Devers has been able to bring so many of these guys along with him. Therefore, are they lovable? Or is it still you have this hatred of this city that has won, 12 championships since 2004? Something like that across their 4 major sports teams? Yeah. And so that's what I think is curious are there certain towns, certain states that you say just because of the Red Sox or just because of the Patriots, we dismiss all of those teams as though they are easily the most annoying?
Yeah, I think this guy also just thinks everybody's annoying. That's why in our group chat,
everyone
was
is made
who hurt
equal
him because he's so aggressive in some of these comments. But it is some of them I get, and I think when it goes to, no offense, Mia, but the Yankees, for example, I think the Yankees, the Lakers, the Cowboys. Those are three teams to me that, like, nationwide, if you're not a fan of those teams, you kind of dislike it. And I think for multiple reasons. I think with the Cowboys, it's the situation where every year it's like, okay, Super Bowl this year, we're going to do it. They haven't won since the 90s, and you still hear about those. So people are kind of annoyed with that. I think the Lakers more so, it's just because it's so Hollywood, and like you feel like the entire, when you watch their games, it's just celebrities on the sign, so you don't feel like it's like that real true fan base a lot of times. And then the Yankees, I feel kind of like the similar to the Lakers aspect. I have friends that are fans of all three of them, and they're great, but then I've met people that were not great in all three of them. So, but those are the three that I think most people would probably connect to being known, because it's almost a joke where it's like, oh, that one guy who's a Lakers, Yankees, and Cowboys fan, you know?
Right, because it's the argument of, are they bandwagon?
Yeah.
I think that's where the Duke basketball, you could put them
Duke
in that
too,
same
yes.
category of,
Which he has them number one, by the way.
you're rooting for winners. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, we never got to the Kyle Filipowski going down that rabbit hole. Maybe we will at some other point in today's program or this week. But
so
yeah,
I think his point is he doesn't like, and well, Duke is a little different in this regard, but he doesn't like teams that haven't won recently because the fan bases are still acting as if they won 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. To me, obnoxious and annoying takes on the persona of, to your point, Taylor, the experience that you have around those people. And I think for the reason I love the list is he just put all of SEC football fans, which that's what made me crack up, because it's like, I totally get that.
Yeah.
You have an SEC fan that will be cheering for
the SEC.
Another SEC team just so they can yell SEC.
Yeah.
And like that is, I'm not one of those people, but that is fantastic to me that there are people that just want their conference to win. And so I do think when it comes to like Ohio State, though, like I've had friends send me this stuff like on TikTok before or whatever, and Ohio State is usually one of the most annoying to them and obnoxious fan bases
they got to be
all
up
of the
there.
land.
They have to be up there.
And I don't even think they're on here, are they?
Oh, so maybe we did find.
He might be. Chris Mueller might be an Ohio State fan.
That's what I went to go look where he lived, because I immediately was like,
We're stalking the guy now.
Where does he live that this certain, because he had the Cubs, he had the Bears, and he had Notre Dame on there. So I was like, he must live up north to where he has to deal with a lot of those fans, and he's around enough to where he has these experiences with people. The Bears one, I guess I could get, even though I don't think
that would never cross my mind.
They're like depressed. Like I don't think we're ever one of those teams that are like, we're winning the Super Bowl. If anything, it's been like, please just let us win like 7 games. Like, it's been like that for so long. Have there been like hopeful years? Yeah. The Cubs one blows my mind too. Like, the Cubs right now are 11 games under 500, and Wrigley is sold out every single night because they've
won one championship in 100 plus years.
And that's what he mentioned. He was like, oh, after that they were lovable losers, and then they won the World Series and they became obnoxious. I don't know who's around to see that. Like, they were stoked. It's been 108 years. Like, no one ever thought we were going to see a World Series in Chicago. And so there was like a level of excitedness, and he points Joe Madden. Maybe it's because a lot of people dislike Joe Madden, and they kind of had that he's getting kicked out of baseball games all the time. But they were such a fun baseball team, and so it's a little weird for me. Notre Dame I can get, because I think that a lot of people get annoyed that they're like in the rankings every year, and they don't feel like they deserve to, and they don't want to get into a conference, and like the fans are very adamant about like, no, we want to stay independent. And so I get that one of the other two, but some of these were just strange to me.
The Raptors.
Like, and where's Philly? I'm like,
the Maple Leafs,
where's
the Raptors.
Philly? Right.
Yeah, they're pretty far down this list.
The
and
Phillies
to
were
me,
not in it at all.
No, Philly, like the
Eagles. Any Philadelphia
but the
team.
Phillies,
But
I thought
Philly, yeah.
Phillies would be on there.
I just want someone from Philly.
I was like, where? And I'm like scrolling, and I'm like, this really all the way down here. Astros, really, after everything we've been through the last few years with that fan base and all of them, they're that far. This list was interesting to me.
Not only are the three of us back from vacation and finally sitting at the table together for the first time, our good friend RJ Saunders has also returned from vacation. And in case you missed it, not only is he our resident Laker fan, but RJ, you don't know this, our newest addition at 1010, Trent, our new content producer, is also a diehard Laker fan, and I can see him smiling as he's editing this segment right now because he's getting a kick out of us bashing all the quote-unquote evil empires and the winners. How do you feel, RJ Saunders? Welcome back, first and foremost. But secondly, Lakers, should they be among the most hated fan bases in all of sports?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean,
they hate us because they ain't us.
In my opinion, I think that they can be. Contrary to popular belief, there are diehard Laker fans in LA. However, I would say, instead of using the word hated, maybe the most spoiled Laker fans, because we've had such an addiction to winning through the Magic years, Shaq and Kobe years, whatever this LeBron thing is. And so when you get that addiction to winning, when it doesn't happen, we find other things to do around California that doesn't involve going to the Staples Center. So maybe not the word hated. I can understand why people would hate the LA Lakers, but being an Angelino and being from that area, I would probably say spoiled would be the better word.
But this doesn't offend you as someone from Southern California. When people say they hate the Lakers, like they hate the Cowboys, they hate the Yankees, like how Taylor Dahl sees Chicago Bears number 3 on this list, and she's like, oh my God, why are you hating on us? You don't feel that way.
I mean, if people say like they hate their team, of course, me being a Laker fan, I'm going to say, but we have 17 banners or 16 banners and stuff like that. So I'm always going to go that route. So if you want to hate, that is fine. But just understand we have more championships than you.
And see, I think that's exactly why people get annoyed. But I love that sentiment too. And to be a fan, I think you also get a little defensive when it's your team that shows up on a list like this. Like the fact that he, like I said, put all of the SEC, I was like, come on, you got to be a little bit more specific than that. Like Alabama.
Well, I was about to say, they got the double
annoying.
whammy because he put Alabama and put SEC football.
Right, like Alabama is, but there's a reason for that, and it's because for the same reason that RJ just talked about. Alabama does nothing but win, and you get so incredibly tired of one team getting the national championship trophy year in and year out, and you want it to be a different team at least. So like I don't hate Michigan by any means. I was glad to see that at least it was a different team that won it all this year.
Well, Trent is also a Michigan fan, by the way, so we're off to a roaring start in his first day in studio here at 1010.
It is interesting, too. It'll be interesting how much it flips, let me say that more so, because he has the Patriots still on this list. If the Patriots aren't, which I don't think they'll be back to Tom Brady era of Patriots. Like, we're just not going to see that. And so will that start to fade because you're not going to be seeing Tom Brady and the Patriots win constantly? Belichick's not there anymore. So you don't have all of these kind of like villains that we watched for a long time. And then you have this new era of teams coming up. Let's say, the Lions, for example. The Lions right now are like fun and super likable. They haven't won in a long time. They wore trash bags on their heads. It was, grocery bags on their heads. It's kind of like a joke in Detroit, but now they're becoming good. So let's say the Lions win a couple Super Bowls in the next 5, 6, 7 years, and their fans become this one that we're tired of seeing them win now, and you start seeing this cockiness with, Aiden Hutchinson. Not sure we'll ever see it from Jared Goff, but like Amon-Ra and Aiden Hutchinson and some of these other guys, does it start to flip where like these teams that now are winning, and they're the ones we're talking about, Houston Texans. Let's say Houston does it. Let's say Houston beats the Jags in the next few years, and they win the AFC South, and they make it to the Super Bowl. Do they start becoming that? Because C.J. Stroud's kind of already made his imprint in that world of like he doesn't mind being that villain type guy.
The Lions are the real. That's the one I really want to talk about. Because the Golden State Warriors appear on this list. And I think they are the perfect example of
do we hate them still?
A ragtag. No, I don't think we do. But we've seen in the last 15 years, we have seen a roller coaster of emotions when it comes to how we feel about the Golden State Warriors. Because it started out, they were this ragtag team of homegrown players, had never really had much success in the way of championships in 20, 30 some odd years. And they're a ragtag team. They take down LeBron, then they lose to LeBron, but they come right back. And then they added Kevin Durant, and they became the super team. But then they rose once more in 2022 with that same core group, sans Durant. And so that's where I think that they are the prime example of how we view annoying fan bases. Because I don't think if you had told anybody in 2015 the Golden State Warriors fan base is the most annoying, how many people would have actually said that?
Well, people would have been like, what Golden State Warriors fan base? And that was the joke with them a lot, is all of a sudden they had this massive fan base, and everyone was like, where did you guys come from? We never met a Golden State Warrior fan before 2015.
So we advertised, we want you to hit the text line, 641-1010, with who you think the most annoying fan base is. 651. RJ's point is the same reason people hate the Yankees. They are claiming championships that happened 50 years before they were born. To which I say, and to set up our next segment.
And here's our Yankees fan.
I am a Yankees fan, and I would agree. I hate when people do it because it's a drought right now. I mean, when we talked about on Friday, Lauren, when we talked about the storylines to watch for in sports the rest of the year at the midway point of the 2024 calendar year, I hate that people are like, oh, well, the Yankees are finally going to win for the first time since. No, they're not. Claiming championships long before you were born. It's time to set up and circle back to a conversation that we had last week, Taylor Dahl. RJ, would you do me the pleasure of playing for Miss Lauren Brooks, Tim Brando of Fox Sports, on the Florida Gators fan base?
Florida's fan base is so toxic. And by the way, I don't mind pissing you off, Florida fan. I really don't. You got to know who and what you are and where you've been. And yeah, Spurrier did great things for you. Fun ball, offense of the 90s, transformed the league. It was just an incredible job. I mean, Steve Spurrier, outside of Bear Bryant and Nick Saban, the next guy on the SEC's Mount Rushmore is got to be Spurrier. All right. And then after he leaves, at a real quick trigger on Zook, Ron I don't think he did an awful job, but they were get him out right away. Then they sell the lot to Urban, and Urban comes in, and you had this player that was so transformative in Tim Tebow. Now you're able to put together a juggernaut that, had a few guys that had some problems off the field as well. But still, that's how you got on that run. That's how you kept it going. But if you take those two eras away, okay, where was Florida football? And yet the Florida people believe, hell, we're Alabama. We're as good as them. We're Michigan. No, you're not.
So he appeared on the Crane and Company show. I had never heard of that until you had said something about him, Brandon, saying something about Florida. I didn't.
Lauren goes, what did he say? We're like, oh gosh.
I had absolutely no idea.
For many of you who weren't on vacation last week, you got to hear that. You got to hear Taylor and my reaction to a university that some, including some of us sitting at this table, believe claims championship, or rather, not claims championships. Let me preface this. There are student athletes being recruited to the University of Florida right now who were born after the last time that Florida won a national championship in football. Does that change the national perception? Does that change the perception of Florida outside of this region? That was the conversation we had last week. We now have Lauren back in the fold, a UF alum. And so I am excited to hear a fired up Lauren Brooks coming up after this break.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Gators. Subscribe to the 1010XL Gators YouTube channel. Up-to-the-minute updates, instant reaction from Gainesville, plus the same 1010XL Gators podcast you've grown to know. And check out 1010XL Gators on YouTube.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots and the first treatment now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Clean air, cool air, both are extremely important. Trust Florida Home AC to deliver on both with their Remy Halo, the next generation of air quality technology. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC and breathe clean and cool air.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about letting things roll off of your back. So often we can make big deals out of things that are not really big deals. We can allow them to steal the joy of our day. But let me remind you that don't allow anyone or anything to steal the joy of today. Go out today not letting little things steal the big things that God has in store for you.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
American Electrical, Northeast Florida's highest-rated electricians, is hiring, and they're looking for people to train for careers. It's not just job training. They're giving you a license that no one can take away from you, training you for jobs that are always in demand and will offer you a peace of mind financially and for the future. Once you know a trade, you'll always be employable. All the details are at american-electrical.com, and with their American Electrical Academy, if you're selected, you'll learn the electrical trade absolutely free of charge. American Electrical Contractors, powered by professionalism.
Give us your hot take.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
On the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Be part of the conversation. 641-1010.
Hey, Russell Wilson here, and I know how important exercise is.
It's essential. It's essential.
With Play 60, United Way and the NFL are helping kids stay active and play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids. Healthy kids.
But what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60 because great things happen when we live united.
Donate.
Are you guys going to do that every time?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather now hot as can be, look ahead and get that backyard ready for fall with a new open air or screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are the best in the business. So if you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
Hey, it's Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. If you're like me, you're getting crushed by rising costs of everything these days. I get it. It's brutal, and credit card rates are ridiculous and going higher. That's why at Loan Pronto, we launched our Express Equity Line of Credit to bring you the relief you and your family need, using your home, your most valuable asset. We've helped thousands of people like you get fast relief with cash. The average homeowner who does this gets tens of thousands in just days and is able to save $850 per month in overall expenses. I'm talking life-changing money. Your money that you have access to right now. Listen, if you're ready to get control of your finances and get off the hamster wheel, call Loan Pronto. You can get approved for Express Equity Line of Credit in just minutes, and we can get your cash in less than a week. Stop digging a deeper credit card hole today. Call Loan Pronto now. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
If you're tired of your fence looking like a bad hair day, well, it's time for a fence makeover with Superior Fence and Rail. They'll make your yard the talk of the town with a new fence installed by their expert team.
Your fence is fantastic. My fence is giving all of my neighbors some serious pick and envy. Thanks, Superior Fence and Rail.
So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your fence installation project today.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
This is Joe C. from XL Primetime and stoked to crank up the 9 after 5 once again at the Golf Club of Southampton. Every Wednesday, a little after 5, the gang at Southampton will be hosting us with a new game, and I'm inviting you to be a part of it. Now, through the summer stretch, break up the week with a little hump day fun every Wednesday. Call 287-PLAY to get on the tee sheet. There'll be food afterwards and prizes, including playing for a membership at the Golf Club of Southampton. Call 287-PLAY and hit the tee with Joe C.
Are you a meat lover searching for quality cuts? Southern Steer Butcher uses a vacuum tumbler to marinate and tenderize our chicken and world-famous steak tips.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. This is another Post Malone country song, this one with Blake Shelton. And he teased one with Chris Stapleton coming up, so I'm very excited
He's
about
gone country.
He has gone country, and we don't mind at all. All right, you just heard Tim Brando in the last segment say that Florida's fan base is toxic. Well, I think you have to analyze this, and this is completely Florida bias out. You have to analyze it from a college football Florida fan and fans that are Florida fans that are only college football fans, and then I think fans that are fans of every other sport. A lot of the people that I know are fans of lots of different sports, right? Like most people I know that there are 34 Florida athletes going to Paris and representing 18 different countries. Like there will be people that are watching specific Olympic sports that they've never watched before just to try and see, right, because of the Gator contingent. So, but if you are just a college football fan, a Florida college football fan, and you don't watch anything else, then you may not understand that there is a ton of athletic success outside of football. But when you live in the South, what are most people? They are football fans. And if your football team isn't winning, then they don't care about anything else. And I totally understand that. And I've had a neighbor tell me that he wishes Florida, this was during the season last year, he wishes Florida would lose every game for the rest of the season so that Billy Napier would be fired. Instead of hoping the team would actually win and moving forward, maybe build a long-term sustainable program. But no, some people are absolutely 100% anti-Billy Napier.
Okay, so for those who just turned on the dial, just pulled up helmets and heels, this is a Big Chief Tire Monday. We are discussing, or the genesis of this conversation began with the most annoying fan bases. We've tied together that conversation with last week's soundbite from Tim Brando of Fox Sports, in which he said Florida is the most toxic fan base. That was
he said Florida's a toxic fan base. I don't think he said the most toxic.
He said toxic. It is a toxic.
But the key word was the fact that it's toxic.
I believe that conversation on what was called Crane and Company was about college football. So we're going to go hyper-local. We're going to say of the college football fan bases, he believes if you look at all those college football fan bases out there, whether it's in the SEC, the Big Ten, RIP, the Pac-12, Florida, what is a toxic fan base in the context of what have you done for me lately? And of course, we're asking for you to get in on the conversation at 641-1010. I'm going to read you two very contrasting submissions from some of our Heeligans to further illustrate just how polarizing this topic is. From 891. It's clearly the Gators who are the most annoying. There seems to be an overwhelming number of them in Northeast Florida who have no idea what they're talking about. They have not won the SEC in football in 15 years. To which Kyle on the MyBookie Digital Studio says that's such BS by Brando. 95% of Florida's fans don't think they are Michigan, Bama, etc. Every fan base has a percentage of fans who are idiots, a.k.a. delusional.
Well, I comparing Florida and Michigan, I think, is perfectly fine. Like Michigan until last year hadn't won anything in also a very long time. And no Florida fan ever says Florida is as good as Alabama in football only. In other sports, maybe, but not in football. So that's where I think maybe though the fans that he's talked to have this misconception. I think most Florida fans think Billy Napier will be fired. They don't want him to be fired. They think he will be fired. And that's because they have seen a litany of issues happen. And, oh, by the way, he took over a program where the head coach before him, and Dan Mullen, didn't recruit for a couple years, just stopped recruiting. So he took over a bad program, and he's made some just serious issues. And, oh, by the way, one of his best players left Gainesville to go to Athens in Trevor Etienne. He wasn't able to retain that player, right? So you also wonder, well, what's going on in the locker room? But I think overall the fan base is not toxic. They're impatient. That's, to me, the better word. Toxic, to me, is more when Ohio State, who has this incredible winning record with Ryan Day, but because they can't beat one team in Michigan, they want him fired. That's crazy. To me, that's toxic. Impatient, though, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of pointed that out last week, Lauren, when we were talking about it, is like the impatience part stuck out more to me in this conversation, honestly, because I think we've been talking about it anyways. Like, is Billy Napier on the hot seat? How hot is that seat? Should they give him a little longer? Because in this, Brando says he's a fan of Billy Napier. So obviously, in his mind, he's thinking Florida fans are giving up on Billy Napier too soon. And that's where, to me, the context was. And then it kind of went a little bit crazy at a certain point, because when you use the word toxic for anybody, that's going to be the word that shines throughout whatever you're trying to say. But I was pointing, I'm like, I think any college football fan base is pretty impatient, honestly. We live in this world now where it's like, win now, or what are you doing? Like, what are you doing for me if you're not winning now? And so go to, let's say, Alabama, and we were having this conversation. How quickly are these fans turning on Kalen DeBoer if they're not winning to the level that they were with Nick Saban all of these years, even though he's kind of having to do a lot of it. A lot of people left Alabama. A lot of guys hit the portal because it's a new coach and all of this stuff going on at Bama. So he's kind of having to build his own product there right now. There is a foundation because it's Bama and they've had the success of winning, but how quickly are they going to turn on that, and how quickly is Brando going to say they're toxic if they're in 2-3 years calling for his head because he's not winning a national championship? Yeah,
Mia, you brought this up last week when Georgia had Mark Richt. Georgia was starting to get to the point of, okay, you're a good coach, but you're not getting us a national championship.
Not good. The enemy of great is good.
Right. And so would people have said, well, you're winning 9 games at that point in time to Georgia fans, but that's not good enough? Correct. And that's why we said last week, if you don't make the college football playoff as one of the 12 last standing teams, you are probably on the hot seat as a head coach. Whether you've won 9 games or not, if you don't get to that point in time, your fans are going to reach that same level of impatience. I do understand Tim Brando saying Florida's only had really the 2 successful eras under Steve Spurrier and under Urban Meyer. I totally get that. At this point in time, Florida fans are looking, I think, at Billy Napier and saying he's not one of those guys. And that's where, just because, yes, he's had to rebuild the program, if he can't get us to the college football playoff, then we want someone else. I don't think that's toxic, but that's because, again, I'm looking at it from the perspective of I know what Florida has done in the past. And yes, it's been a while now, but certainly even under Will Muschamp, who certainly was not fit to be a head coach, Florida was winning double-digit games.
Right. Yeah. I think what you're getting at, Lauren, is the standard is the standard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's for
your
every single
standard
fan base.
as someone who attended the University of Florida, your standard is make the college football playoff.
Same. Yeah. I would bet this is the same standard if you asked Florida State fans. I would bet it's the same standard if you asked, well, Georgia fans probably a little different. If they don't win at all, then there's something
national
wrong.
championship is
They've
theirs.
But that's
reached that
also
elite
new.
status. Yeah.
Within the last 4 or 5 years, their
absolutely.
standard
I
hit
think
that.
there's also an argument out there that if your standard is not winning a national title, then what are you getting at? I think that there's a difference there, though, because I think and that's kind of where Brando's getting at. There needs to be a realistic standard versus what, everyone's going to give you lip service and say, I'm trying to win a national title, because that's what you have to say.
Yeah.
But I think, again, it's tough because I agree with what he's saying and I also disagree, because I do agree that realistically, I don't think Florida's winning a national title this year. I don't think I'm going out on a limb and saying that. But I do
Which
think...
I don't think a Florida fan would say they think they are winning.
But I
don't know one.
But I do think if you're a Florida fan and you say, if we win 6 games this year, that's great. And if we win 8 games next year, that's great. That is where I say you are compromising on what you have so long said as a Florida fan, which is we are one of the best programs and the best college football teams in the conference.
Because you look at the recruiting area, right? Like the recruiting area here is so fertile that's why really Miami and Florida State and Florida and Georgia and LSU and all these teams in the Southeastern Conference, Alabama we've talked about, Ole Miss at this point, like once you have this, they're a little bit farther, but the rest of the teams that I mentioned, once you have this fertile recruiting area that you can plug from, plus you have a good NIL base, which everyone Miami is one that people questioned for a while. Certainly Florida was late to the party when it comes to NIL, but that is going to get you, to the point where you can go get guys from other schools that had 1 good season or 2 good seasons at another smaller school. You can get them on your roster and you can win right away. You don't have to wait for the recruiting anymore. And so that's where I think Florida fans look, this year for Florida State fans too, they're probably saying just get in the college football playoff.
Right.
Last year win the championship, but this year is probably a little different.
Yeah, because of the confidence level compared to Jordan Travis and DJ Uyunglele. But
I actually thought you got it the first time Taylor.
Okay, I did. I overthought it. But so I think, and we talked about that too, Lauren, last week, where I was like, 6 of the last 10 drafts, Florida has led in players getting drafted into the NFL. The state of Florida.
Yeah.
And so when you have that hotbed of players that are coming out of Florida and that talented to the point where they're going on and being drafted into the NFL and being successful there, and you're not able to compete at the highest level, there is some issues there. And I think some of that does obviously go back to pre-Billy Napier, but even now you still have to start taking a look at that.
Right. And look, I think when it comes to Florida State, there were Florida State fans that wanted Mike Norvell out. And that we looked at it and
I'm
said,
actually shocked Brando didn't bring that up.
Well, and
because I feel like
we only listened
that's
to like the
argument.
3-minute clip. I don't know if
he didn't bring it up. No,
Okay.
he didn't.
But I think people looked at that and said, well, remember, Norvell is taking over the mess that Willie Taggart left, even though he was only there for a season or so. But at some point, a little over a season. But at some point in time, you do have to look at it and say, is this the head coach that I think can win me the national championship? That's what we talk about in the NFL. Is this the head coach that I think can win me the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
And if you don't have that person, then you're probably going backwards. It's just a little trickier in the specific case of Florida, because you're talking about a program that over the last few years is now at a disadvantage because of Dan Mullen.
Yeah. Well, and I think I go back to Norvell too. There was a point where people were already calling for him to be fired too, and they were trying to.
There was a Twitter Spaces. Never forget.
Everyone was like, relax for a second. He's taking over a disaster and has to build this pretty much from the bottom. Give it a minute. And some fans were like, no, this isn't it. He won't let them wear hoodies and he won't let them do this. And it was like this big, crazy, toxic thing that was happening at Florida State. And now look at the conversation, how it's flipped. And that's why I think Brando's like, just be a little patient. It takes some time sometimes.
Honestly, when I was watching and listening to it, it felt like Billy Napier's camp called Tim Brando and were like,
can
we
you
want
help
you
us?
to do a little bit of a PSA for us because Billy Napier doesn't want to go the route of Mike White when it comes to men's basketball because Florida fans definitely chased Mike White out of Gainesville and up to Athens. And that is a situation that I think from the outside looking in, you could say was toxic. But I think for me, watching the Gators play men's basketball game in and game out, they weren't very good offensively. They were good defensively, not good offensively.
That was the Mike White situation, yes. Toxic from the fan base perspective in terms of play on the court. That is an example of we're good, we're making the tournament, but we're getting bounced in the first or second round. That is the enemy of great. And so that is where I want to bring this conversation back to. Let's say, and we're giving patience to Billy Napier, we're giving context to the situation. He wins 6 or 7 games this year. He wins 8 or 9 next year. No, I won't go 9. I'll say 8. Let's say 7 or 8 next year. So it's a 1 or a 2 game improvement.
Ooh.
Is that good enough?
The 6 is going to be hard for a lot of people to deal with this upcoming season.
Okay.
But if you're saying, but Gator fans, this is what people have told a lot of Gator Nation right now. Get through this 3rd season. Mm-hmm. I know it's not going to be pretty. That schedule is brutal. It's one of the hardest schedules we've ever seen. Just get through this season and then see what happens. That is what they are being told right now.
But then what becomes this? Because then at that point, all of his guys are there.
Then it's college football playoff.
So then there's bust. So then you go back to that,
especially with the
wins,
expansion.
If it's just 7 wins in season 4, then people are going to say, "I told you so. You should have fired him after season 2 or during season 2." Like that's how people are going to feel.
That is the standard at Florida.
The standard is now college football playoff.
Okay.
A year ago, in the last few years when it was just the 4-team college football playoff, that to me was a little bit different. That is a standard of you're either elite or you're not. And there were only 4 teams that were elite. Now with 12 teams, yes, you should be one of the 12 best teams in all of the country.
Should I bring up the analogy I made last week, Taylor, about Mizzou and Arkansas? Or is that going to just send a dagger through Lauren Brooks's heart? I said that, look, like people wanted Eli Drinkwitz fired last year at Mizzou.
Last year? They did so well last year.
Before. This time last year. And we had someone text in and say that there's no Power 5 program in the country that if their coach went 5-11 against Power 5 competition that he would retain his job. But Billy Napier is here. Mizzou retained Eli Drinkwitz. I'm not saying, but I'm saying, Florida fans, if you're following this Tim Brando school of thought of patience, yes, you do find yourself in the same category as Mizzou, not Alabama, at least at this current juncture and in this exercise. Because that's the example I have for you right now in terms of recency.
Yeah, Missouri's a better football program than Florida right now.
Right. And they were, quote
Arkansas
unquote,
beat
patient.
Florida, but I wouldn't say that Arkansas's leaps and bounds ahead of Florida. I would just say that with Cam Little, now Jaguars kicker, kicking a 45-yard field goal, they ended up winning the game. Like, they were neck and neck, though. And Florida should have ended up, I think, winning, but that's neither here nor there. Missouri has definitely passed Florida. A lot of teams, Tennessee.
There we go. Repeat that, Lauren. Repeat that.
Passed Florida in the moment, and that's why Gator Nation is so upset.
Yeah. And that's why Brando's saying what he's saying.
But that's not because Florida's toxic to me. That's because the expectations are not being met.
Right.
I don't think he's right.
Are those expectations
are
fair?
too high.
Are they fair, though?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Okay, so the expectations are fair.
Yes, because you are in the state of Florida, to the point of all this NFL talent's coming out of this state. You are here, you have the facilities, and now the NFL is getting on track. And was that fired up enough for you?
No, it was excellent. This is the best radio of the week on 1010XL. I know it's only Monday. We're only 3 shows in.
All right, so there you go. We will get to Taylor's Tangent when we return. Let's see if it's college football related or something else. We shall find out. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. It is a Big Chief Tire Monday. 5 locations around town right here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Load the jump program.
Term XL. 1010XL. 1010XL.
I'm Taylor Rose with our Remedy Staffing Westside office off of Normandy Boulevard. We are helping great people find great jobs. Remedy has helped some of the best employers in Jacksonville find talented job seekers like you for over 25 years. Our current job openings range from entry-level distribution center pickers to equipment operators. Apply today at remedygoodjobs.com. Don't wait. Apply at remedygoodjobs.com now.
Hey, Matt Hayes here with Mike Dempsey. both continuing to reap the benefits of losing weight with Awaken 180. For me, it starts with sleep. That's right, a full night's sleep every night. Another thing, I haven't been sick in months. No colds, no sinus infections. Mike?
Same thing here. My added bonus is I've lost a few more pounds in free maintenance. Crazy to think the weight not only stayed off since last September, but I don't even think about it anymore. With Awaken 180, keeping it off becomes second nature. I've had my cheat days, I have my cheat meals, but it's not really cheating when the results stay the same.
Awaken 180 isn't just about losing weight. It's about enhancing your life, better sleep, better health, and for me, enjoying golf and swimming without joint pain.
When you're not carrying around 40 extra pounds, your joints surely thank you. Have your joints, your heart, and your scale thanking you too, and do what we did online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Hey Jacksonville, Taylor Dahl here with Helmets and Heels. Looking for an easy way to feed your friends and family this summer? Let your local Chick-fil-A restaurant cater your next gathering. Choose from a variety of trays, including Chick-fil-A nugget trays, mac and cheese, and of course, gallons of Chick-fil-A tea and lemonade. Perfect for a get-together of any size. Place an order through the Chick-fil-A app, online, or by calling ahead and pick it up at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant. Or get it delivered directly to your door. Enjoy more of summer season with your loved ones when you take cooking off your plate with Chick-fil-A. See restaurant for details.
Ready to drive away with a fortune? Join us at Best Bet St. Augustine for our Fairways to Fortune giveaway. Over $30,000 in prizes are up for grabs, including a top-of-the-line 6-seater golf cart. Join us July 27th at Best Bet St. Augustine for the big giveaway and hourly cash drawings. Come play and win big at Best Bet St. Augustine, located on State Road 207, seconds away from the I-95 exit. Visit bestbetjacks.com for details. That's bestbetjacks.com, and we'll see you in St. Augustine.
Hey, it's Mike Dempsey, and you know how I feel about Pella Windows and Doors. Great design, strongest warranties, and the highest quality products. I even chose Pella Windows for my own home. And whether you're a homeowner replacing windows or building a new home or a trade professional working with clients, I know the design experts at Pella will help your project run smoothly and look great. Visit PellaJacks.com or the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway at Pella Windows and Doors.
Hun, the drain really smells.
Yeah, wow, it does.
I think it's getting backed up. What should we do? Did you just quack like a duck?
Yes, I did. Duck Duck Rooter, your plumbing pros in Northeast Florida. Need help with a plumbing issue at your home or business? Just call the Duck.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6760.
This is Dr. George Barry of Barry Orthopedics, and we like to be your option when it comes to taking care of your body and getting back in the game. From shoulders to elbows to hip and knee pain, Barry Orthopedics can diagnose and treat a variety of injuries that are causing you pain. We are Barry Orthopedics and online at barryorthopedics.com. With more than 30 years of experience, our team is here to care for your entire family.
Find out more at barryorthopedics.com. That's BAHRI orthopedics.com.
This is Hayes Carlion for Skylife Elite. Have you ever thought about aircraft ownership as another potential revenue stream and as a tool for tax savings? Put your tax money to work for you while enjoying the benefits of private personal travel. Skylife Elite has over a decade of experience in business aviation and can guide you through the process with their expert staff. Call my friends over at Skylife Elite at 490-9332 or find them at flyskylife.com to get the rundown on everything owning an airplane can do for you.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
July 8th, 1965, MLB Hall of Fame infielder Joe Morgan becomes the first Houston Astros player with 6 hits in a game.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just the job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today apply at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pick it here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dull, RJ Saunders, I am Lauren Brooks with you on this Big Chief Tire Monday. By the way, this is the new Thomas Rhett song, Feeling
really
Country.
good.
I just absolutely love it.
I haven't heard it yet.
Oh, yeah. It's from the new movie Twisters.
Oh, okay.
And
That
came
movie's
out on
getting a lot of
Friday.
play.
It is.
Yeah.
I think they did a smart job in getting a lot of the country acts to participate as far as the soundtrack is concerned. But yeah, he's got 2, Gone Country and Feeling Country. And yes, Gone Country was originally on Jackson. He did not cover it. It's a different song. But both are recent releases. All right, Taylor Dull, take it away.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
All right, ladies, I'm just wondering why we have to make every single thing in the sports world an argument rather than just sometimes just sitting and enjoying cool things that are happening. So I feel like we've done this a lot. We've done it a lot when it came to, the Brady, Manning, Rodgers era where all 3 were playing at a really high level, and it was constantly like, who's better, this person or this person? And each fan base would kind of get onto the other person about it. We get the LeBron, MJ, Kobe, that conversation, and those guys played at different times, so it's hard to even overlap some of their success and what's happening. Even last week, Mia and I were talking about Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson and how can't we just accept that Trayvon is become a pretty dang good football player. We don't have to compare everything he does to Aiden Hutchinson because they're on 2 different football teams. They're doing 2 different things. They're asked to do 2 different things. And now we're seeing it with 2 WNBA players in Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, both what seem to be in the running for Rookie of the Year right now. And my whole Twitter feed the last week has just been when we use the word toxic, has been so toxic when it comes to these 2. And I'm sure in part some of it is because there's so many Chicago followings on mine, obviously, so they talk a lot about Angel Reese. But rather than it just being like these 2 women have come into the WNBA and created something that we have not seen, and that's bringing a whole new fan base into the sport, number 1, but also playing at a really high level and very quickly. And so we see the triple-double with Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese is on her 13th straight double-double, so she just passed Candace Parker when it come to this. I just want us to be able to enjoy this. Enjoy that these 2 women are playing.
Get along?
Can't we just get along and enjoy that these 2, this Rookie of the Year race is really, really fun to watch right now because they're both playing at a high level on teams that aren't fantastic, but each have gotten a little better as the season's gone on. And so I just want us to be able to sit there and enjoy that we're watching something historical and really cool happen right now rather than fight all the time about why one or the other shouldn't be there.
I'm just glad we're talking about basketball again. Remember a month ago, whenever Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese's name came up, we had to talk about politics, we had to talk about perception, and now we're talking about basketball. And it makes my heart full, not just because, yes, I root for both those players. Yes, I said both because I root for Angel because I think Angel is a great ambassador for the game. But it warms my heart, Taylor, because for so long, people would watch women's college basketball, not at the level that they have over the last 2 to 3 years, but people would watch it just like they watch Olympic sports. They watch college baseball, college softball. You have it on, especially during the postseason. And you develop an affinity for, I really like this player. I like this team. I think they're great. And then they would get to the WNBA and you would forget they existed. Yeah. And the prophecy that was foretold has come to fruition, which is this modern iteration of Bird versus Magic, because that's what it is. Yeah. It's the female Bird versus Magic. 2 players who in their own right are changing the game have now gotten fans through that threshold where they are caring about them at a professional level. And that is something to be commended. And by the way, we could debate. Listen, I guess that is what our job is, even though we want to just appreciate greatness. We could debate if we wanted to. the level of importance of both of those records that were broken over the weekend. Caitlin Clark, the first rookie to ever have a triple-double, the first triple-double in Indiana Fever history. Angel Reese just did something that nobody's done, let alone a rookie, with 13 straight double-doubles. And that's it's something that, the fact that we are talking about the on-court product, I am very happy about, because we were so far from that 3-4 weeks ago. And again, those two will never tell you that, I don't want to be the villain, or Angel Reese loves being the villain.
She said she wants.
She's got the Joker on her sneakers, for crying out loud, and that's a good thing, because as we were just discussing, Tom Brady was the villain once upon a time, and he didn't care.
Yeah. And in this tangent brought to you by Chick-fil-A, more so, we're allowed to debate, hey, do you think, because that's going to be a conversation, should Caitlin Clark get Rookie of the Year or should Angel Reese? And that's going to be a valid conversation. The toxicity comes in when you take it into personal level, and that's what people started doing on Twitter, was making it a political or a race or, something beyond what's on the basketball court. And that's where my point of this more so is. Let's just watch this, have fun, and we can talk about the basketball all we want, but we don't have to make it insults to the two women that are involved in this.
Well, speaking of Chick-fil-A, we've got a giveaway on the other side. We're also going to get into ESPN's ranking of NFL teams based on talent under the age of 25. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels. Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
I don't want to hear your excuses.
Best friends.
What an idiot.
They love each other. Like brothers.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Dan and Jeff. Mornings on 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Mia here, and we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino, though, is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your home. The live casino is so easy to use, folks. Just go to MyBookie, just like you would for the sportsbook, and next to sportsbook, click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin, just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience where the action is in your hands. And yes, the rumors are true. You don't even need to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL and a revamped loyalty program ensuring a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win. Only with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping first-time home buyers with their mortgage financing all over Florida for 34 years. First-time home buyers can get no or low down payments, anywhere from 0 to 3.5% down. As a first-time home buyer with Trustline Mortgage, you get added benefits for doing your loan with us, like lower rates on your mortgage insurance and lower closing costs. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Trustline gives first-time home buyers better mortgage interest rates? Here's the bottom line. Trustline Mortgage wants to help first-time home buyers accomplish your goal of home ownership. That's why Trustline Mortgage is offering the best first-time home buyer benefits around, period. Trustline Mortgage delivers with no and low down payments, lower closing costs, and better interest rates. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. Yes, 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you buy your dream home. Or visit our website at trustlinemortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing opportunity. MLS number 331480.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
Hi, I'm David Lane, your average everyday Joe. I'm 5 months out of my back surgery with Southeast Orthopedic, and I'm doing great. Thanks to Dr. Herford and his staff at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. Playing in the NFL can put a lot of wear and tear on your body, especially your knees. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists has kept me mobile and ready to tackle every day.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Picking here for Bout 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bout 9. Visit Bout 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bout 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
I'm RJ Saunders with their Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update for 1010XL. This update is brought to you by your First Coast Honda dealers. NFL training camp will be here before you know it for the Jacksonville Jaguars. First round pick Brian Thomas Jr. met with WAFB in Louisiana and spoke on the biggest surprise he's come across now being in the NFL.
Just like hearing going from being signals and just hearing a play call, being in a huddle and having to hear a play call, I was probably say that was the biggest surprise I had. Just trying to hear that and remember it, and then be able to go out there and execute it.
Former Gator Colin Castleton, looking to potentially gain a roster spot with the LA Lakers, had a solid showing for the purple and gold despite their loss at the hands of the Golden State Warriors in the NBA's California Classic. He recorded a double-double with 10 points and 10 rebounds. 93 degrees at 102 time and temp, brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels.
Illuminated by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
We're jamming today. This is a little Shabuzi. You know the song, too.
I do. We had the debate last week. Is it a country song? Is it not a country song? My mom
I
got
like the song. I don't know what it is, but
yeah.
I like it.
My mom
It's played on country radio.
It is, exactly. That's what all my friends, when I brought it up this weekend, they all said the same thing. And my mom, it was interesting watching the CMA Fest when I was home in New Jersey because it came on then. And she was like, I really like this song, but I just don't know if it's country. And I was like, well, it's on the country charts, Mom. So I don't know what to tell you there.
Yes. Well, I know that there is a cuss word coming up in it at some point, so we'll be fading that song. Well done, RJ. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders back from vacation. I am Lauren Brooks. All right, so ESPN has the ranking of teams based on talent under the age of 25. Where do the Jaguars fall? Mia, where would you have had the Jags?
I would have had them ahead of some of these teams that Aaron Schatz does have ahead of them. Spoiler alert, the Jaguars are ranked 7th, Lauren. And I would say of the 6 teams that are ranked ahead of them, a couple of these are going out on a limb. I probably would have had the Jags around 4 or 5 because a lot of this talent that is ranked ahead of them is unproven. A big reason, as he explains, that he had the Jags 7th is because of a little disclaimer. Trevor Lawrence is, quote, no longer cheap with a $275 million extension, even if that doesn't kick in for another 3 years.
So if he had done this ranking two months ago, then would it have been different?
That's what he said. I mean, he had them 5th last year.
Right, because for people who don't realize, obviously the young talent is great, and Taylor, you always talk about the Lions. The young talent is great because you're not having to spend as much on them. All right, so number 1 is the Texans. And Taylor, you mentioned earlier in the show, could the Texans become a really bitter rival around here because of the fact that they had success last season, won the AFC South, but also they do have all this young talent. And moving forward, if they continue to win, will Jaguars fans kind of switch the hatred from the Titans to the Texans? I don't think they'll ever move it off of the Titans because of what happened in 99.
There's
but
another.
I do think, to your point, I think because CJ Stroud has been a little bit chirpy, that yes, they will quickly become a team that the Jaguars fans hate. Especially, too, because when the Texans were good a few years ago with Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt, those guys are so likable, or at least they were then. J.J. Watt will always be. But Deshaun Watson, certainly before all the legal issues, I think people just were like, oh, it's hard to hate them, right? We don't want to see them be a good team, but that's also when the Jags were terrible. All
and
right,
Deshaun Watson had fallen to third in the pecking order in his 2017 draft class, getting drafted behind Patrick Mahomes. And then, of course, Taylor, Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah.
And so he was almost the afterthought despite leading Clemson to its first national title.
The Bears saved $400 million by not drafting Patrick Mahomes.
Let's focus on that on this Big Chief Tire Monday. Save that money. They paid DeAndre Swift instead.
We won't talk about the championships not won, just the money saved. I like that. All right, so the Texans are one with, of course, C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson Jr., Derek Stingley Jr., all those guys are obviously very young, two of which going into their second years. I am fascinated with this C.J. Stroud second year.
Yeah.
Can he be nearly as good as he was in year one? Obviously, most people say, well, quarterbacks only get better with time because the game slows down for them. It just seems impossible to me that he's going to have another season where he doesn't have many interceptions.
Yeah, it's and actually I saw a chart yesterday. I wish I would have saved it because the reason I do think that we could see Stroud continue to get even better is because there were blemishes. There were moments where you could tell he was a rookie. He was able to outshine that because he was able to throw for over 4,000 yards, but he only had 23 touchdowns. It's not like he threw for 30 plus touchdowns, which I think most teams that when you're talking about winning Super Bowl teams, Kansas City didn't have to last year, but most of the time they're throwing at least high 20s, low 30s when it comes to touchdowns. And so he wasn't quite there yet. He didn't turn over the ball, and I think that's a big thing. But I also saw the chart that I saw was the most incomplete passes caused by inaccurate passes rather than the cornerback making a play or the receiver dropping the ball, and he had the third highest in the league, CJ Stroud. So he was definitely having errors. They were just getting lucky that those weren't turning into picks in certain moments. So it will be interesting to see once now these teams have a whole year of film on him now, so that does add a whole other level of something. We saw it happen, how quickly that caught up with Mac Jones in addition to some other things. But the roster also only got better this last season, so I think that it is going to be fascinating to see if what we see of CJ Stroud is CJ Stroud. Which is good. I think Houston Texans fans would take year one CJ Stroud if they know that's who their quarterback's going to be. But I also think because of some of the blemishes that we saw and some of the inconsistencies, I could see an improvement, but we could also see a backtrack just because, like you said, do some of those balls that bounce their way start going the other way this season.
CJ Stroud threw for more than 2 touchdowns in a game, which I'm sure there's some of you driving around right now saying, well, what about Trevor? Do Trevor now. He threw for more than 2 touchdowns in a game twice. That crazy 5-touchdown game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and a 3-touchdown performance against the Cleveland Browns. That's it. He also only had 3 rushing scores all year, a mark that Trevor Lawrence has eclipsed in each of his 3 seasons here in Jacksonville. And so when I look at his numbers, is there room for growth, obviously, which is a scary prospect looking at how he performed last year. But I think that when you look at the collective whole, Taylor, I think that the biggest offseason acquisition that was made by the Houston Texans was the ability to retain almost their entire staff. Mm-hmm. That, for me, retaining Bobby Slowick, not letting him get away, akin to Jared Goff's renaissance with Ben Johnson up in Detroit, that was the biggest W. More so than Stephon Diggs. More so than Danielle Hunter, because I believe that Bobby Slowick, coming from that Kyle Shanahan tree, has created opportunities not just for C.J. Stroud to succeed in the National Football League, but Nico Collins, for me, was a guy who was essentially left for dead after his first 2 years of quarterback purgatory in his first 2 years in the National Football League. He doesn't become who he is without C.J. Stroud. Ditto to Tank Dell. And ditto, Mechie, Robert Woods, all these players who, according to C.J. Stroud, they would be wide receiver 1s on any other team. I would say that the reason they're top, 3 wide receivers in that locker room is because of what Slowick's been able to do for them. And that's where, as much as, yes, we look at the Texans and we say, oh, my goodness, they have all this young talent. I would say a lot of it is a young coaching staff coming over from San Francisco with D'Amico and with Bobby Slowick that has gelled well with this young group of players more than anything.
All right, so the Lions, you just mentioned Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, Jared Goff not in the top talent under 25, but you mentioned him earlier. Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, by the way, plug for The Pivot with Fred Taylor that comes out tomorrow is with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Mm-hmm. So if people want to learn more about his cool story, check that out. I heard Fred Taylor mention that on The Drill this morning. So the Lions are number 2. I honestly could have had them one.
I was about to say, I would personally put them one. I think the reason they don't is because they're weighing a quarterback rookie as higher than a tight end and an edge and some of those. And I think that's it. Because when you look at this list, and they named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names here, you could go on and continue this list for the Lions, and that's the thing that pops out to me. They've been so good the last few years of not only drafting players, but also developing them and finding them in the right spots. And they've honestly kind of taken some chances because they drafted Penei Sewell so high. They drafted a tight end, and people were mocking them for these situations. They drafted a running back when they had running
overall.
backs. And so people are like, what are they doing? They're drafting running backs and tight ends and offensive linemen.
An interior linebacker and Jack Campbell, 18th overall. People had him going in the 3rd round.
But it's worked. And they've found this recipe of ways to make their especially first 3 draft picks every single year, the last 3-4 years, work. Develop them, fit their scheme perfectly, everything they needed. And so to me, I would have Lions number 1 on this list. I think they've created this team that almost, and it doesn't look like it's close to the end. There's sometimes where you look at some of these teams that are young and you're like, okay, they have some young pieces, but they're really relying on some of their veterans to be major playmakers too. And honestly, the Lions, for the most part, all their rookies, or at least the rookie contract guys, are the ones that they're counting on being the big players, other than Jared Goff.
It's recency bias for the Texans. It's just the fact that they made a very bold move, and they had 2 of the top 3 picks last year, and they hit on both of them. That's why they won.
Yeah, the Jaguars beat the Titans in Week 17 of last year. I do think the conversation's a little different.
Yes.
Like, the Texans, yes, they played well.
They're the Lions.
They still have to overtake the Jags.
They're the Lions of 22. They are the team that everybody's picking to be a dark horse and to be the Cinderella, as opposed to, oh my God, they are here and they've arrived.
Yeah. All right. So the 3rd team would be the Baltimore Ravens with safety Kyle Hamilton, wide receiver Zay Flowers, and offensive lineman Tyler Linderbaum. Look, I think that's really good talent. And by the way, I have a friend who, and Taylor, you know this because you're a Notre Dame fan, when Kyle Hamilton was obviously playing super well, was it junior season, he was shouting from the rooftops for the Jags to please draft Kyle Hamilton. And I was like, I don't think that's the direction they're going to go. He's like, I know, but that's who I want. And so to see him on a list like this, yes, he is. He's also good in the NFL too.
Yeah, I would definitely have the Ravens way further down my list. Personally, because I do think, like I just said, when you're looking at how much you are counting on non-rookies is what determines this list for me. Because when you're talking about a team, I'm trying to think of the title of it right now, of how they actually worded it.
Teams based on talent under 25.
So, and in my head, I guess you can still, some of these guys are still under 25 that are, I guess, veterans or have their second contracts. But to me, like your safety and Kyle Hamilton and center and Tyler Linderbaum, I liked what Zay did. I don't think he is somebody who is changing a roster right now. I think he could potentially be that. But to me, those 3 names doesn't completely impact a roster. To me, it's Lamar Jackson's that's impacting your roster. It's some of the other, when it comes to defensively, a Roquan Smith and some of these guys, a Derrick Henry. Those are the guys that are altering your roster, not the 3 that they named.
I just can't look at the Detroit Lions lineup that we just ran through where
and
they have 5 players and there's like 8 more in the paragraph description and you're like, oh my God, he's really good. And then you look at this and you're like, okay, Nate Wiggins and Roger Rosengarten are rookies. We don't know what they're going to be.
Yeah.
Isaiah Likely, looked good at times, but we don't know what he's going to be, especially once Mark Andrews is reintroduced into the offense. What happens to Likely? Is he even a contributor? David Ajabo, we really haven't seen. I don't know what he's going to be. Keaton Mitchell's coming off of a torn ACL, and while that's basically a rite of passage in this day and age, I'm not sure he's going to look as elusive and fast as he did his rookie season. And so there's a lot of ifs here, and I was a little surprised to see them at 3rd.
Yeah, I would have had the Ravens below the Jags, which, like Mia said earlier, Jaguars at 7th. All right, so the 4th team, Falcons, the first person on this list cracks us all up. Michael Penix Jr., Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. It cracks me up because everyone said that was such a terrible pick.
Yeah.
But yet
you're adding them to this list.
Right. But I said at the time, I don't think it's a terrible draft choice. I understand that you paid Kirk Cousins all this money, but if he's not the guy for the long term, then you needed to get a guy who's going to be. And so, yes, I understand picking him as early as they did in the draft was a head scratcher for a lot of people, but you always have to build towards the future. And whatever you paid Kirk Cousins, well, you paid him that. And then you have to, at some point in time, realize that he is in his mid-30s, coming off the Achilles, and you want a guy that's going to be your quarterback for the long haul. The other guys on the list, like I said, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Those are some supreme talent.
Yeah, I think that to me, I guess I would have them in my probably top 6, 7. But I think that because of the Michael Penix, I don't absolutely love that pick anyways. I also don't know when we're quite going to see them. How soon is it going to be? So is that affecting what's going to happen this season? I don't know. I don't think that Michael Penix, unless something happens to Kirk Cousins, will be starting this year. And so in that case, you are like, he's not included in this then because you're not counting on him to win games this season. But I absolutely love Bijan. I love Drake London. I love Kyle Pitts. So I completely get them putting those three. And to me, Kyle Pitts, even though I think we've expected more from Kyle Pitts, he just hasn't had that quarterback to be able to take him to what a lot of people thought he was going to be coming into the NFL.
Yeah, so, no Kyle Trask in Atlanta.
Yeah, I do think that. But with those three names, I think would be starters on the majority of rosters around the league. At somewhere you'd be seeing them. And so to me, that's when you have this list of guys and you're like, okay, yeah, on most teams, those three guys would be starting, then yeah, those are some pretty solid names you have under 25.
I just need Bijan and Kyle Pitts to break free of their shackles. They've been in hell, for lack of a better term, thanks to Arthur Smith. I don't know what Zach Robinson's going to be as a play caller in Atlanta. He's never really been a true offense coordinator. He was the pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach in LA with the Rams. He obviously has familiarity with Raheem Morris, so as much as Raheem is more of a defensive-minded guy, I would assume he's handing him the keys to the kingdom and saying, work your Sean McVay tree magic. So that's where I'm genuinely curious to see if we finally see those three players, A, stay healthy, and B, reach their potential. And yes, they all were top 10 first-round picks. So that's where I understand this ranking, putting them there. Yeah. Also of note, the ESPN, put out their annual first top 10 this morning of a ranking of executives and coaches and scouts submitting who their top 10 players are by position. So today was running backs, and they had Bijan Robinson 6th. That was ahead of Travis Etienne, ahead of Josh Jacobs, ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs, ahead of Derrick Henry. They had him number 1 last year as a rookie. So, look, there's a lot of love for Bijan, and rightfully so, because he is a very talented player, and he was, expected to contribute immediately, unlike Michael Penix Jr. But you got to show it to me first with the Falcons. Like, I need to see this thing actually happening before I can believe the hype and put them in the top 5 of my personal ranking of the top teams with under 25 talent in the NFL.
The 5th team, Mia, I'll start with you since the other person here is a fan of this team. The Bears, Caleb Williams, Darnell Wright, Rome Odunze.
Should be there. And again, a lot of that is speculation on the part of, Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. But again, akin to the Lions write-up, you look at the actual paragraph of other players who should have been mentioned. Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon. We saw a little bit from Zach Pickens. And so you see a couple other names that you're like, okay, coupled with the fact that you have two top 10 picks entering the fold who, by all accounts, are expected to be as clean a prospect and as smooth a transition as we've seen in the National Football League. This makes sense to me. I don't know if I'd put them ahead of the Jags, just because the Jags under 25 talent is a more proven commodity compared to the Bears. Right. But yes, this one makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think they're just like you said. It's a lot of banking on what Caleb Williams could possibly be, and obviously Rome. But yeah, they listed Caleb Williams, Darnell Wright, and Rome Odunze in the blue chip. But you could go through three of their 5 offensive linemen are all under 25. They've all been drafted within the last few years. They're all seemed to be. That's their position of the future. They found these guys in Darnell Wright, Braxton Jones, and Tevin Jenkins. And then when you go even to the defensive side, Javon Dexter had a really, really good second half of the season last year. Almost their entire secondary is under 25, and they're a lot of rankings of the top end. Torrey Taylor, we got the best punter in the league, hopefully.
Is he under 25 though?
I don't know. I
don't think he is.
Maybe that's why they
I think
didn't
he
put him
might
in
be
here.
20. Yeah, he's 26.
Oh, okay.
See,
so
there we go.
Just missed it. But yeah, so I see it. I do think that, like Mia said, I would probably put the Jags ahead of the Bears just because I think they're banking. We don't know yet. We don't know what Caleb and Rome are going to be. I expect them, at least, obviously, you know how high I am on Rome, but there's a lot of question marks around those two, but I still think the starting roster in general is a large majority 25 and under, so I get why he would want to throw them in there.
I'm going to be honest with you guys, not to jump ahead, because we do have to get to the 6th team before we get to the Jags.
We can just say it.
Yeah,
Cardinals,
okay.
Paris Johnson, Marvin Harrison Jr.,
right.
and wide receiver Michael Wilson.
I put the Cardinals in a similar boat-ish to the Bears that, Marvin Harrison Jr., we know he's going to be good, but we also don't know.
Yeah, we can move on from the Cardinals. I wouldn't have had them in the top
the Jags
6.
are 7th.
No, I wouldn't have.
And among those players on the Jags roster, the reason that they're ranked 7th after being ranked 5th last year, again, is because of Trevor Lawrence getting paid. But among the players under 25, Trevor Lawrence, Anton Harrison, Trayvon Walker, Tyson Campbell, Andre Sisco, as well as recent draft picks in Brian Thomas Jr., Mason Smith. Those are your only 2 guys that I just listed off who we don't know. Because those other 5 guys have played significant snaps and in significant games in the National Football League. And that is why I would have the Jags higher. Here's why I jump ahead. They've got the Rams 8th and the Packers 9th. I understand that we don't want to, again, put the cart before the horse when it comes to the Packers and what we saw last year, even if the Packers are about to give Jordan Love a boatload of money after 1 year. But I look at the number of guys that the Packers have who are under 25 years old and made it to the second round of the postseason. I look at Jordan Love, he's no longer 25, but you've got Jaden Reed, you've got Romeo Doubs, you've got Dontavian Wicks, you got the 2 tight ends, you got, now you're bringing in Jordan Morgan, Quay Walker, your interior linebacker, You've got Lucas Van Ness, shout out to the Go Hawks, Javon Bullard, Edgerrin Cooper, both drafted this year. Like, that's a team where I'm like, yes, you have some draft picks who are entering the fold who are under 25, but you also have guys who played significant snaps for a playoff team a year ago.
Yeah.
Ditto to the Rams, by the way, who don't have any notable graduated players, a.k.a. no one has turned 25 or left. That nucleus they had last year of Puka Nacua, Steve Avila, Byron Young, Kyron Williams. Oh, and by the way, they added Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. They're all back.
Yeah. I think for the Packers, I think it may just be because they don't really have the graduated players are Jordan Love, Christian Watson, and Zach Tom, who are 3 of their better players last season, and you're not including them in this conversation. But I also think they don't really have like a star right now, and that is what kind of I think pops out for a lot of people when you're talking about Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, a lot of people are putting him in the conversation in the top half of quarterbacks in general, and I think Jordan Love has began to obviously approach that, but he's not included in this, so you're taking him out of that conversation. And I think when you're looking at the other weapons, I do think a guy like Dontavian Wicks, I think we're going to be talking a ton about. The problem with the Packers last year is they didn't have that consistent. It was more so
they
like
don't have a
all
number
of them
one.
had a little bit of piece. Like each of them led in a different month at some point. So it wasn't like some superstar of like this guy is going to. I'm not sure any of their wide receivers would start on the top half of the league's rosters. Honestly, I just don't. But I think they will. So I think that's why they sit at this 9, because it's like they have the potential to be this like very quickly this team that we're talking about from top to bottom being pretty good. But they just don't have that star right now. At least that's under 25 star.
And what I don't love about something like this is when you do go by age, because we've seen with COVID some players be like the Luke Fortner, for instance, be someone or Torrey Taylor who's entering the league at a little bit.
That's why.
Yeah, at a little bit older.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather it be like 4 seasons or less. So technically not a true veteran and actually having played in those seasons. So in my mind, if I did it, Jordan Love, in other words, would be has played 4 seasons or less, and teams are super talented. But to circle back to the Jaguars, like we said, Trevor Lawrence, Anton Harrison, Trayvon Walker are the 3 blue chips. And then you've got guys like Tyson Campbell and Andre Sisco as well. I do believe Anton Harrison would start on a lot of NFL teams.
For sure.
I think Trevor Lawrence, as we all know, would start on a lot of NFL teams. And I think Trayvon Walker would start on a lot of NFL teams.
Okay, off the dome. Top 5. Players or teams with players under 25. Now that we've run through ESPN's list, who would be yours, Taylor?
Yeah, I think I would go Lions. I think I would go Lions, Texans, Jags, Bears. Be my 5.
Maybe Falcons?
Yeah, probably Falcons after them.
Okay. Lauren?
Yeah, I'd say Lions 1, Texans 2, so we agree there. And then I'd say Jags 3, Bears 4, so we agree all the way through. Jags 3, Bears 4, and then the Falcons.
Okay, I agree with the top 3. Lions, Texans, Jags. And then I'd go Packers, Rams.
Yeah, and I might even have the Jags ahead of the Texans, honestly.
Yeah, because we're basing that off of like really 2 players.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I might actually do Lions 1, Jags 2, and then Texans 3. But
yeah, I think because of the CJ Stroud and like how he's kind of saying, okay, well, Trevor Lawrence got his contract. So there's so many buts if you're doing this in there. And that's why I think because of the CJ Stroud conversation I'd put him, but there is argument to be made that you could easily flop those in my opinion.
Absolutely. All right. So Brian Thomas Jr. was on with WFAB in Louisiana. We'll let you hear from him when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday.
This is Helmets and Heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Look at that. Oh, look at how great he looks. Majestic, you know? I want to ride alongside him.
Join the Franchi Show for the drive. Saddle up every afternoon on 1010XL.
Mia here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. Folks, it is hot outside, and don't forget that Duck Duck Air Conditioning can help. They are a full-service AC company providing full system replacements and repairs to current systems. Call 904-862-6769 to schedule service right away. And of course, don't forget, Duck Duck Rooter is also a full-service plumbing and septic company that can help with clogged drains, water heater installations and repairs, sewer line replacements, septic tank pump outs, inspections, drain field installations, and oh so much more. Of course, Duck Duck Rooter is also a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
If you're a veteran, listen up. Did you know that you can access up to 100% of your home's equity right now? Hey, Prosser here. You can do it with Loan Pronto's VA Equity Advantage program. You can get 30, 50, 100 grand or more and use that money to pay off all those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, or maybe use the cash to do that home improvement project. Veterans love working with Loan Pronto because they make it easy. No junk fees, no hassle. They can unlock that cash in your home's equity in a matter of weeks. Don't keep paying insane rates on credit cards. There's a smarter alternative with Loan Pronto. Get more info and start the process now at loanpronto.com. Or if your current VA loan rate is over 6.5%, Loan Pronto can get you in a streamlined refinance with a lower rate right now with no income verification and no appraisal. Lower your monthly payment big time. Loan Pronto makes it so easy for veterans. So call now, 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1666781, subject to lender approval.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Summer's greatest hits are going on now, and Macy's One-Day Sale has summer's greatest savings. Shop limited time specials like 40 to 60% off everything for this weekend's Backyard Bash. From the Cellar Barbecue, Henkel's, and Tupperware. 40 to 70% off fine jewelry from Effie, Levion, and more. And 30 to 55% off bras, pajamas, and more basics. Hurry in. Our one-day sale starts Tuesday at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Transmission troubles? I'm Robin Sidbury, owner of Action Transmission Specialist on Merrill Road. So come in and see how we can help solve your transmission troubles. We service all makes and models. Remember, get traction. Call Action at 744-0755.
Did you know a metal roof from Prime Roofing has the highest wind and impact ratings available? If you want a stronger roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Learn more at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
15,000 workers. I'm Brian Rose from Remedy Staffing. We survey 15,000 blue-collar workers each year to better understand what drives quality and dependability in our workforce. The survey shows when looking for a new job, the initial pay rate, job security, and safety while working are the most important factors for hourly workers. If you're an employer and would like to learn more about the voice of the blue-collar worker, please call us at 904-528-1933.
Give us your hot take.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
On the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Be part of the conversation. 641-1010.
Parents, it's football time. The Mandarin Athletic Association is accepting applications for the 2024 Pop Warner football and cheerleading season. Registration is filling up. Sign up at mandarintigers.com. That's mandarintigers.com.
International soccer returns this summer. Don't miss Premier League clubs Wolves and West Ham in Jacksonville for the Stateside Cup, July 27th at Everbank Stadium. Tickets as low as $35 at statesidecup.com.
Life has its share of challenges, and when it puts you to the test, make sure you reach out to Rebound Rehabilitation to give you the quickest path back to full health and confidence. Rebound Rehab, specializing in helping patients overcome back pain and sciatica, arthritis, and fibromyalgia, just to name a few. Rebound Rehab, locations covering the entire First Coast, getting you back in control with a pain-free life. Sports injury, workplace injury, whatever it might be, you can rebound. Log on to reboundrehab.com for more info.
Mia here, and we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. The live casino is so easy to use. Just go to MyBookie and click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action's in the palm of your hands and you don't even need to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL. A revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is brightened by
First Coast Lighting and Fans
on 1010XL.
Y'all feeling like giving away some lunch?
I am. Honestly, my stomach is kind of rumbling.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going to Chick-fil-A myself. But for you guys, lunch on the ladies right now. Lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. If, let's say, caller number 3 at 641-1010, lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A.
Love it. All right, so Brian Thomas Jr. was with WAFB in Louisiana. And just a couple cuts here from the rookie, but he was asked about the biggest surprise now that he's getting into the NFL.
Just like hearing going from being signals and just hearing a play call, being in the huddle and having to hear a play call, I was probably say that was the biggest surprise I had. Just trying to hear that and remember it, and then be able to go out there and execute it.
And it's interesting to me that was his answer because everyone's talked about how smart he is, and so it doesn't seem like he's really had any issue with that.
Yeah, I think it's something we forget. We honestly forget that the helmets don't have a remote control system in college, which I wonder how soon we are to that coming, because I feel like it has to be coming soon.
At least to, I would think, the Power 5. Power 4.2, however we're describing college football now.
The Super League.
Really the Power 4, I guess is what we should say. But yeah, you would think at least at that level, if not all of the FCS, so to speak. All right, so he was also asked, Brian Thomas Jr., asked about what he's liked so far about our city.
Just everything, being almost feeling like home. Feel like home to me. I feel like my home back here. Just transferred to Jacksonville. Just being able to be around. I got Mason and Jordan out there. Blessed enough to have those two out there too from LSU, and just really almost the home feeling that I get out there in Jacksonville.
You know why it feels like home? Because it's 1,000 degrees, and you know what it is in Louisiana right now? 1,000 degrees.
It's I feel like I'm sweating like I am at home.
Yeah, It's the swamp here in Florida, just like the swamp of Louisiana.
I do think it is easy for Jacksonville to feel like home for so many people, and it's new when you have people move down here, just had never been here before, move down here, but also whether it's transplants or you're coming here for a sport or you come here for a job. Jacksonville has a little bit of everything. And I think that we have, we have the St. Johns River, you have the beach, you have more woodsy, farmy areas, you have a downtown, you have the Riverside area, which is kind of close to what a lot of cities have as their downtown. And so I think there's just so many different aspects because Jacksonville, obviously, landmass-wise, is massive. You have a little bit of everything. So it's easy to make it feel like home for people because it has something for everybody when they get here. And, if you're used to hot climate, you come to the perfect spot.
And also, Mia, he said he's got Mason Smith. He's got Jordan Jefferson.
He also has his whole team with him.
Right. I think that's a huge help. I mean, if you told me, Lauren, you have to move to another state tomorrow, well, if I got to take people that I know with me at the same time, it would be a much easier transition.
Yes, as someone who has moved multiple times in my professional career, I can definitely speak to. It helps when you know people already, whether you've worked with them before, which was the case for me in Iowa, or even if they're friends of a friend, which was the case for me here in Jacksonville. Yes, it is definitely a big help.
And I do think, too, he's coming into a wide receiving core that hasn't been super established, right? Like Christian Kirk certainly has been here now for a minute. But the other in Gabe Davis is fairly new. Devin Duvernay is fairly new. And so it's not like you're walking into what I describe as like in high school, there's that click.
Yeah.
Right. And so
you're trying to find your way into
you have to try and really like break into the click. He doesn't have to do that here.
With that said, though, it's a room of pros. I mean, I don't think there's a better guy that he could learn from besides Christian Kirk, outside of Larry Fitzgerald, which, oh, by the way, is who Christian Kirk learned at the foot of. Ditto with Gabe Davis, a guy who was, again, a captain at UCF as a true freshman, was a captain in Buffalo at the age of 23. And so I think it also helps when you have those pros, not just on the roster, but also within your position group.
Yeah, absolutely. And I keep waiting to see the videos or the pictures of Trevor and the Jags receivers going off and throwing the football.
They did.
Oh, they already did it?
Yep, Aaron Berkshire. Shout out to our friend Aaron Berkshire. He already posted a couple of them from last week.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Well, I'm glad that happened just because now I don't have to look forward to something else happening.
Sorry to spoil your Big Chief Tire Monday.
That's quite all right. All right, let's get it to Major League Baseball. Taylor, you mentioned earlier the Cubs not doing so well, but
they finally won a series. First time in 3 weeks.
Exactly. So now you're feeling
There's a positive.
happy.
No, it's just, honestly, they're so frustrating right now. I don't even like watching them. Not even just... I've seen losing seasons, obviously, many losing seasons for the Cubs, but at least you didn't feel like they were just completely dysfunctional, and right now it is. I mean, from guys overthrowing on trying to get base runners out, overthrowing second base, overthrowing first base. Our catcher cannot make it to second base, can't throw out to second base to save his life. Everyone is just like swinging at everything. I feel like it's just a hot mess disaster right now.
It really is, especially when I saw one of your relievers, Colton Brewer.
Yeah.
He was so mad at his outing.
He punched the wall.
That he punched the wall with his
Kevin Brown-esque.
non-throwing or non-pitching hand. And now is out on the 60-day IL. And I was like, that's, I think, like a perfect...
But he's also the one, as I'm saying, overthrew second base. He overthrew Dansby Swanson really bad and ended up scoring a run from there. They loaded the bases because he couldn't throw from the mound to second base. I was like, whatever, you break your hand, get out of here. I don't even watch you.
I've told multiple people that, like, Taylor has said, and she said this on the air last week, she's out here watching minor league games. Like, she's out here watching the Iowa Cubs as opposed to the Chicago Cubs. She's scouting out here. Like, I'm like, that's dedication to the game and to the long game.
But Shota Imanaga did make the All-Star team, and it was really cute because they announced it after the game, because they found out, I guess the news got dropped during the game. So when they were in the locker room after, Craig Counsell was like, okay, we have like one All-Star, he's a rookie, da-da-da. And so there's a few rookies playing right now, so they're all kind of trying to figure out who it is. And when he said Shota Imanaga's name, it was so cute because his face just like lit up, and he just gets up and he was like, obviously he speaks Japanese, so he had his translator there, but before his translator button, he just stood up, he's like, ladies and gentlemen. That's just what he said. It was so cute.
The one bright spot.
I love him.
That is so cute. The Rays, by the way, had won 5 consecutive series and then lost big time to the Rangers over the weekend. Won on Friday and then lost the next 2. Wyatt Langford, though, that was the bright spot for me, getting to watch the Rays take on the Rangers. Yeah. That kid is just so impressive. Obviously, I got to watch him when he was at Florida, and then seeing him in the major leagues, like you'd expect it to take a little while longer. Mm-hmm. Nope, not at all.
Him and Paul Skeens are just like, all right, ready to go.
Yeah, which Robert on the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line noted that Paul Skeens making history, his highlight of the weekend. And look, I mean, I feel... I don't want to say this because Frank Frangi's driving around somewhere and he's going to get upset as I say
this. In Cape Cod.
Oh, that's right. He's in Cape Cod. Yeah. Good. We're in the clear. Okay. He may be listening on the app, though, because he's known to do that while he's on vacation. It's so hard for me to look at the Pittsburgh Pirates and say, man, like they've got this great core. I truly believe in this pitching staff because, you know, between Mitch Keller, shout out to Cedar Rapids, Jared Jones, and then you throw in Paul Skeens. Like, this is a team that's built for the long haul just because of the history of the Pittsburgh Pirates. It is very hard for me to sit here and say that those 3 guys will be a part of this rotation for more than the next 3 years because Keller's only under control for the next 2 years. And so it's it's hard
the
for
cheap
me.
owner.
Right. And it's just so hard for me because I agree. I think Paul Skeens is fun. I think Mitch Keller's fun. I mean, hell, they're out here trying to reinvent Aroldis Chapman's career, for crying out loud. And like, I want to root for them, but it's hard for me knowing that eventually he's probably going to go the same way as the Garrett Coles of the world. It's just the nature of how that franchise is run.
Yeah, and I joke with Frank about it, but I do feel bad because I think that when you have, and they've had these years where they have all this young talent, and then within the next 2-3 years, all of this that they've like developed through their farm system and brought up has now disappeared, and they're having to restart all over again because they don't spend. And as much as I mess with Frank, I do feel, I know how frustrating that is. The Cubs don't spend. They have the money, which is even probably more frustrating than not having the money and not spending, like having that money and not going to spend and make splash moves and just kind of sitting there complacent. And so I get the frustration of when you just want to be able to pay everybody and pay the talent that you've developed and keep them long term, and you have owners that just don't do it. And
right.
It's frustrating.
When the expectation is they're going to be traded. Like for me, as a sports radio host in Jacksonville, to look at this and say, well, unfortunately, history tells us they're not going to be there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I think someone in Pittsburgh would tell you the same thing. Yeah. And that's just unfortunate.
Well, that's just like right now, imagine if they didn't give Trevor a contract.
Right.
And they let all these guys who you've drafted and actually have seen play well, and you let them all just go. You're like
Josh
hey,
Allen.
we'll have them. Yeah. Hey, we'll have you 3-4 years. You'll develop, learn the NFL.
History
and
would
then
tell you
someone will
that
pay
they
you.
did.
Yes. And that was why they dug themselves into the hole that they did for so long.
Yeah, the Bengals fans would tell you it's the same thing with their owners, that they're cheap, and so they worry about players staying. But certainly small market baseball teams, that is a problem. It happens with the Rays too. It's just they tend to figure out the best time to let those players go. It's not at their peak.
Yeah.
And so they don't get criticized for it as much. But like, for instance, Blake Snell, who was, a Cy Young Award winner with the Rays, and then they decided that he just wasn't the right fit in the clubhouse. And so they moved on, and he wasn't good for a while. And then he has been pretty good recently with the Padres, but they just figured out that for them, it wasn't worth spending.
Here's the difference though, Lauren. Like the Rays have had a knack for finding the Randy Arozarenas, these young players on the come up in other organizations.
Well, yeah,
we're not going to talk about him. The difference is that in Pittsburgh, they're out here drafting these guys, developing them. And essentially, this sounds awful. Don't take this analogy the wrong way, folks. Raising them for the slaughter, like quite honestly, like they
raising them really for other teams,
right? Yeah. Exactly. They do all this heavy lifting of getting a top 5, top 10 draft pick, capitalizing on these players, developing them, only for someone else to be the one that actually reaps the benefits of them in their prime. The Rays, I think, at least have done a great job of like mining other systems. They bring in free agents who, at 25, 26 years old were left for dead by someone else. And so I don't think it's just solely they're developing these young 21-year-old guys, and that's who you're seeing that then they're trading away.
I am glad Frank's in Cape Cod, because this conversation would have depressed him even more than he already is.
Especially when Taylor brought the Jags into it. Rightfully so. Rightfully so, though, because, again, I think it's the same. And that's where, you can't.
That's why we feel like that page is turning finally. Right. Because you have to, if you want to be a functional organization and long-term functional, you have to be able to find the talent, develop the talent, keep the talent. You're not going to be able to keep everybody. We know that. You can't pay every single player you ever draft. It's just not going to work out that way, especially once they hit free agency. It's kind of a Wild West out there. Quick on young guys, because Reds do the same thing. The Reds are also kind of known as an organization, but Ellie De La Cruz, a lot of people love him. He's fantastic. He's such a fun baseball player to watch, but I just read a thing that he's learning to speak Japanese right now so he can talk to Shohei Ohtani.
Just so that when they play each other, he can just go up to him and say something.
That's awesome. That's a super hard language to learn. All right, we've got one segment to go here on Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday, the local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust. This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Florida State. Subscribe to 1010XL Seminoles YouTube channel, up-to-the-minute updates, analysis, and more. Plant the spear and subscribe to 1010XL Seminoles channel today.
It's time to fire up your grills, shoot off some fireworks, and launch one of the biggest sales in the history of the United States. It's our independent sale happening right now at Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet. Whether you drive a car, a truck, or an EV, everyone is welcome to celebrate our independent sale with the lowest prices, largest inventory, and the most love for our country. Come celebrate with Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. You don't want to miss this.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
If the Florida heat is getting you down and you're sweating up a storm, fire up a phone call to Florida Home AC and order an AC tune-up. It's the best way to beat the heat and keep your AC unit working at peak performance. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com for their tune-up special and make sure you're primed for the peak of that heat. Florida Home AC, the official AC provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and just a phone call away at 777-4300. Order that tune-up today.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
There's certain places you know if you go in, they got what you're looking for, like Gate Convenience Stores and Cold Modelo's. That's the ticket. Or get on the craft side of things with something from Bold City or Sweetwater. Hit the cooler at Gate, full of choices and all of them good.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. Hurricanes happen in Florida. That's not news. But what happens even more often than hurricanes are home break-ins. And if security is important to you, you might want to look into hurricane-rated impact windows.
What you may not know is that hurricane-rated impact windows not only help protect your home in case of a hurricane, but they also offer another level of security for your home.
Have you seen those videos on YouTube that show people trying to break through an impact window? A thief is way too lazy to spend his energy trying to break through one of our impact windows. That's why he doesn't have a real job like you. He'd rather break your non-impact window while you're at work. Window World has high-quality, very affordable hurricane-rated impact windows to help protect your home from hurricanes and from lazy thieves.
Call us today at 904-443-7001. Get a free estimate and see for yourself. You save energy, get more security, and the windows add value to your home. With all Window World windows, you get the best guarantee in the window replacement business.
Window World, simply the best for less. And thank you for your business.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
Hey folks, Curtis Dvorak here. Are you a golfer, a pickleball player, or a concert lover? Well, if you said yes to any of those, join me for the first ever Patriot Games on Saturday, September 21st at the Yards in Ponte Vedra. All proceeds benefit Operation New Uniform, which is a transition training program for service members, veterans, and military spouses. For more information, visit onuvets.org. That's onuvets.org. Hope to see you there.
Hacker here with a little nugget for you. I just took my wedding ring off for the first time in 9 years. No, there's not trouble in paradise. Get this. My wedding ring was falling off. I've lost so much weight, my ring couldn't keep up. But hold up, I'm not resisting it just yet. Why? Because I'm still losing weight with Awaken 180. Down 75 pounds so far, and every week the scale shows a lighter number. Once I do reach my goal weight, however, that's when I'll resize that sucker and put it back on for good. I say for good because the weight stays off with Awaken 180. It's a lifestyle change, or should I say a lifestyle enhancer. That's combined with free support for life, and I'm confident I'll keep the weight off like all the other Awaken 180 clients. Mike Dempsey and Matt Hayes still receive free support when they need it, and yep, the weight has stayed off on them. The stories aren't stories. They're real accounts. What's stopping you? Go online, awaken180weightloss.com.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
I can't believe tax season is here already. But look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
So this one was sent to me.
Oh.
I got some
I don't know what this one means.
stats and info. This is my my takeaway from today's program. Since 2010, the University of Florida's football team has won 106 games. Since 2010, Mississippi State has won 104 games. In that same time span, Florida is 6-5 in bowl games. Mississippi State is 8-5 in bowl games. To who would you like to be compared, Florida? That is the question as you begin to forge your way into what is the standard moving into the college football playoff era.
Yeah, I said earlier, I don't think Florida's fan base is toxic like Tim Brando said. I think it is impatient, but the football team has failed to meet expectations. And lots of other Gator athletics are going great, but the football team is certainly where most people are concerned. And right now, they're not sure if they have the correct head coach in Billy Napier.
Yeah, I'm going off one of the texts we got from the text line because the 671 said to stop showing C.J. Stroud so much love. And Houston, they hate T-Law and never show him any love. C.J.'s overrated and T-Law is 1-1 versus C.J. Plus dude lost to the Panthers, Jets, and the Falcons. And who was the D coordinator for the Falcons, which beat C.J. I get that. And this is why I've had this conversation, and I've said this many times, so if you haven't heard me say this, I'm going to repeat myself. I think it's fun for a rivalry to have somebody who is good that you dislike. And
it's just like why I root for Angel Reese as much as I root for Caitlin Clark.
It's fun. It adds a whole other element to the game for me. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, C.J. Stroud sucked last year. That is just not what our job is to do. Our job is to sit here and analyze football. And on the football side of it, C.J. Stroud played really, really well for a rookie last season. But I'm not saying I love C.J. Stroud. I'm not going to go buy a C.J. Stroud jersey next week because I think he had a good rookie season. I'm going to be valid when I say that he played good football last year as a rookie. And do I think he'll continue to improve? Yes. Do I think he's a little feisty and adds a little hotness to what this rivalry is between the two? Yes. And I think that's fun. I think to me, I like having people that I can root against and want to root against because they are good and you're just tired of seeing, you don't want them to win all the time, but then also they have that personality that makes you dislike them almost because of that little chirpiness, and C.J. Stroud has that. I think it's fun. And we talked to Cole Thompson last week, and he said the same thing. He's a Houston Texans fan, and from his he covers the Houston for Houston Wire, and he said the same thing. Like, this is fun. It's fun that now these two teams who have been almost nothing the past long time, 10, 15 years, now have this fun young quarterback. They have this foundation. They get to every year. This matchup is going to be even more and more fun because it's not like, oh God, it's the Jags and Texans again. It's now like, oh look, here's two good teams playing each other, and hopefully primetime games and all of these other things that come along with it. So that is my take.
We also asked who has the most annoying fan base in sports, and we've gotten lots of responses. Cowboys mentioned quite a bit. Yankees,
Ohio State mentioned quite
Titans,
a bit.
Yeah, Ohio State mentioned certainly. We've got one guy that's Andrew says Phillies for Major League Baseball, Titans for the NFL, and Tennessee for football. So he agrees with me as far as that's concerned. And someone else said Dodgers fans. I like getting all the responses.
A little bit of Miami, too, which I found interesting, which our thanks again to Drake Stubbs, the newest Cane, for joining us on Friday. That interview with the soon-to-be Mandarin Senior is available on our 1010XL primary YouTube channel. A lot of the Canes fans came out in full force to watch that video. So,
sure.
So, yeah, they're coming out in full force to support their guy, and they got their haters, too. But the haters are the motivators, as we like to say around here.
That's going to do it for us. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is next.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.